need. But you say he's just a friend. You say he's just a friend. Oh, Pax Dei, you got what I need. Oh! Sorry about that. I was just trying to use my angelic singing voice to try to get into the Pax Dei Alpha a little bit sooner. Clearly, I'm interested in Pax Dei. I had it as my number 2 most anticipated upcoming MMO. I've made an entire wiki for the game. My Pax Dei playlist is up to quite a few videos. I'll post it in the thing, I don't know how many. And of course I'm even singing songs to the game. However, healthy skepticism is of course always very important with MMOs. We've found that out recently, and we've found out many times over the years that skepticism is important. Now there's different levels of skepticism. There's some people that think no MMOs are good, and those are obviously not MMO players, because there's quite a few good MMOs that exist, have existed, and will exist in the future. But with all that in mind, there are a few key areas I want to talk about with Pax Dei that have me personally skeptical, but do know that this skepticism is just based on not having the full information on the game yet, and really nothing else. I've not really seen much from the actual released information on the game that really makes me skeptical. The main things that make me skeptical are just the pieces of information that haven't been filled in yet. And on that note, the first reason to be skeptical of Pax Dei, for me, is the combat. The combat we saw was placeholder, and we don't know much of anything about what it will look like. Some of you know I value combat quite highly in terms of importance, because it's a system that you constantly interact with. For me, I'm open to multiple different combat styles. I have a slight preference to tab, just because in general I think tab has been done better in most MMOs. But there are a few MMOs that have had very good action combat. For me, WildStar had the best version of a pure action combat system, but Black Desert and Terra were both really good as well. Then you have the hybrid systems like a Guild Wars 2, which I think did a great job, and Ashes of Creation seems to be heavily influenced by that Guild Wars 2 style hybrid combat. Pax Dei is going for action combat, and with that in mind, I do want to talk about a few issues I personally have had with action combat in prior MMOs. Again, these might be a preference thing for me, and your preferences might be different. But I personally dislike how action MMOs historically have had a limited set of skills. I personally prefer to have a decent variety of skills, some that have specific functions such as CC, removal of CC, healing, buffing, movement skills, and more. You can combine several of these effects into one skill when reducing the kit size, which does help, but still in the long run, a decent amount of skills I think is better, at least for me personally. For me, I've always preferred around 10 to 15 skills or more. With action, you can definitely get by with less skills than with tab, but still, when it is just 3 or 4 total skills, I find that can get a little boring after a while. And I'm a little concerned Pax Dei might be leaning the direction of minimal skills a little bit. To be fair, we don't know anything about the combat, but from the little bit we have seen from the UI, I don't see any specific bar for skills. I see what looks like a consumable bar above the health and stamina meters, and we have a bar where weapons, tools, and consumables are equipped. Maybe skills can also be slotted in that bar, but it only has 8 slots, so either they're going for a very limited set of skills, or they have plans for another action bar to be added to the UI. They have also said their low fantasy game and magic skills will be somewhat hard to acquire and somewhat limited, so to me that suggests they might have a limited skill set as well. The other issue I've had with action MMOs is animation locking and rooted in place skills. This is where I think WildStar excelled, as they allowed plenty of movement while casting. So far, the placeholder combat does appear to allow movement while using skills, so we might be good there, but we don't know yet, of course. Another thing for me to be skeptical of Pax Dei is that we know very little about the PvP. We know that PvP building and raiding is not going to be in the alpha, but they do want to have that eventually. We recently learned in the World FAQ that contested provinces are the PvP zones, but we have no details on them. For me, being someone that really does tend to focus on the PvP and MMOs, the details of the PvP are something that could drastically alter my view of this game. I do have hopes because the developers themselves have said repeatedly they enjoy PvP as well, and many of them are ex-EVE Online devs, which is an MMO known for its PvP. So we should be okay with this one, but until we know more, I do remain a little cautious. The third and final concern I do have is with monetization. We know nothing about the monetization, and the developers have stated repeatedly they will not have pay to win in this game. However, there was some controversy surrounding that, with one of the devs talking about Plex not being a pay to win currency in EVE Online, and some people took that as far as saying they will have a Plex-like system system in Pax Dei, therefore it's pay to win. Personally, I do think Plex is pay to win, but not a super egregious form of pay to win necessarily. Still, I'd prefer not to have pay to win at all in Pax Dei, so I remain cautious until we know more about the monetization. Overall, despite having a few concerns that are mostly just based on a lack of information and really nothing else, I'm quite optimistic on this project going forward, and we'll continue covering it quite a bit going forward. Thanks guys for watching to the end, and with that, I'll see you in the next video.